Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lecture series, we are learning computer organization and advanced microprocessors. This is our fourth lecture, and in this fourth lecture, we will learn about the functional units and CPU operational concept. So let's start. Okay, so let's start with the functional units. Before we start with the functional units, we should know what is the meaning of computer and what is how we can define the term computer. So a computer is a digital electronic device that executes the instructions given in a program. Simple. But let's elaborate this definition. First, see digital electronic device. Why it's an electronic device? Because it requires power supply. Digital. Why digital? Because it works with the 0 and 1. So it's simple that computer is a device which works with the 0 and 1 and it requires power supply. Simple. Then that executes the instructions given in a program. Here we need to understand this thing that whatever the input, whatever the command you are giving to the system, it's your instruction. And that can be anything. When you are moving the mouse, that's your instruction. When you're pressing the key from the keyboard, that becomes your instruction. And here a term program means a software, any software, right? So what happens, we'll continue with this mouse example only. When you move the mouse and you can see the effect on the monitor that cursor is moving, so at that moment you are using some software which is there inside the mouse, which is there inside the monitor, which is there inside the processor. And when you move the mouse, it becomes your instruction. When you click the mouse, it becomes that click, that move becomes your instruction for the processor. And processor process your instruction, and based on that it takes the decision that what output I have to show, and it shows the click or a double click or a movement. So that's why this is the definition of a computer, that a computer is a digital electronic device that executes the instructions given in a program. And that program can be anything, that instruction can be anything. Right? So now let's see this diagram. These are the functional units of computer: input, output, memory and CPU. What do we call this structure? This structure we call von Neumann architecture, a basic architecture for any computer. These parts are required for any computer. It's a basic organization, and basic organization we call von Neumann architecture. So we know almost everything about the input, output, memory and CPU, but in this subject we will learn how they are connected with each other and how they are communicating with each other to perform any specific task, right? So the basic design of a computer includes different parts, right? Different parts, and all the parts are organized differently and they perform various operations. And of course, to perform that operation, they required some organization. Key, like this thing should be here, this part should be here only, and then they can perform a specific task. As the internal architecture of computer, it may be differ from system to system, right? Suppose I have a laptop, you have a laptop, but the configuration may be differ, right? Configuration may be differ. It might be possible. Here we are not talking about the specific model, we are talking about two different devices, right? So it may have a different architecture, right? Okay, but we have to keep in mind that basic organization will remain same. Any laptop, any machine you can take, you can consider, it will have input, output, memory and CPU. Irrespective of the size, the speed, the capacity, that device must have input, output, memory and CPU. This is the basic architecture. So what is input device? We know that the device which accepts the data and instructions, and that can be from the peripheral devices, right? Like a keyboard, mouse, anything. That is input devices. Then what is CPU? Can we say that the CPU is a brain of a computer? Yes, of course we can say, and this is the component that actually executes the instruction. Your CPU actually executes the instructions. Now output device. So of course it produces the output for you, and it is known as a peripheral device. Of course, peripheral device means anything which you can attach with the system, that we call the peripheral device, like monitor, printer, and other devices we can attach. Then let's come to the memory. So what is memory? Memory is something which enables a computer to store data and a program, right? And also it allows a computer to permanently retain large amounts of data. Here you can take an example of your hard disk and RAM, and of course you can consider your pen drive. Ultimately all are storage devices, right? All are storage devices, but all have a different task, right? Hard disk is for a permanent storage, RAM is for a temporary storage, and a pen drive is to move the data, to transfer the data from device to device. So this is the about the memory, and this we call this structure we also call as a digital computer organization. Also we can say that this is the digital computer organization. Fine. And you know that CPU contains two parts like ALU and CU, and different arithmetic logical operations it performs. Control unit controls all the operations of the computer. So these basic things you know very well, right? So let's go to the next slide. So let's see the difference between ALU and CU. It's very simple topic. ALU stands for the arithmetic and logic unit, that we know, right? So basically ALU performs all the mathematical and logical operations. Mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and some other operations like logical operation and comparison operations. Now what happens when you give any instruction to the computer? So very first, that data, whatever the data it is, as a command or as an instruction you are inputting to the system, that data transfer to the ALU for the processing, and from where it comes from the storage. After that ALU will perform that operation, and after processing the data, output is returned back to the storage unit for further processing or getting stored, whatever the operation you are doing on it. Let's take one example here. Let's say that in a C programming, suppose I have two variables, n1 and n2. So n1 has 3 and n2 have 5. And what I want to do, I want to perform the mathematical operation, like I am writing the instruction ans is equal to n1 plus n2. Let's say this is my instruction. Now what will happen when I am inputting the data, when this instruction, specifically this instruction will get executed, at that time the data from the n1 and n2 will be fetched, and it will go to the ALU. ALU perform the mathematical operation like 5 plus 3, so it will get the 8, and this 8 will be again will be stored in the ALU's variable. So this thing happen this thing will be done by the ALU. Fine. Okay, so now let's see about the control unit. So CU stands for control unit, that we know. Uh, Basically CU acts like the manager. So what is the main job of the manager? It look after the all the operations, like that it should be going in sequence, it's going in a proper fashion or not. So all the controls will be handled by the control unit. So it acts like the manager, and it's seeing the things are done in a proper fashion and having control on the system. And of course it determines the sequence in which computer programs and instructions are executed, like processing of a programs from the main memory, interpretation of the instructions, and of course issuing of signals for other units of the computer just to execute them. So all these things will be taken care by the C. Fine. Okay. Okay, so before we learn about the device controller, very first we'll see the difference between device driver and device controller. What is that? So before we start with the difference, between the driver and the controller. I'll give you one example. You must have seen one notification, installed driver successfully. You must have seen this, right? When it happens, when you attach any pen drive, any peripheral device to your system, to a laptop, to a computer, immediately it gives a notification that device driver installed successfully, or device driver installed unsuccessfully, any notification. But the driver term is there. So what is that driver? That we are going to learn in this slide. So what happens when you insert the pen drive? What is your purpose? You just want to transfer the data, right, from your hard disk to your pen drive. But to perform that operation, we require operating system, support of an operating system, or access of an operating system, right? So your operating system does not know that pen drive, because that pen drive is an external device. So operating system does not know about that. So to establish a communication between the pen drive and your operating system, we require a driver, and that driver will allow your pen drive to communicate with the operating system. So this is a scenario, right? So now let's see the actual difference between the device driver and device controller. So you can see on the slide, device driver. The device driver is a software program. Okay, so that is clear that this is a software that allows a specific device. This specific device can be any peripheral device. You can say pen drive, your keyboard, your mouse, speakers, printer, anything. That specific device can be any device, right? And specific device to communicate with the computer's operating system. Simple. As I told you, that an operating system does not know about any external peripheral device. So to establish a communication, we require something, and this will be done by the device driver. Fine. Next is a device controller. What is device controller? Device controller is a hardware. Okay, fine. So driver is a software and controller is my hardware. So device controller is a hardware unit attached to the I/O bus of the computer. What is I/O bus of the computer? Simple. Input output bus. The meaning of the bus is nothing but a cable. A simple cable or a road or a path or a way which enables the data to travel. Simple, right? Because when I say that my data is traveling from one location to the another location, I need something which can carry my data. So this bus will carry your data. So this input output bus. So device controller, of course we'll learn this bus concept in later section. It is in a detail. But right now just understand that bus is nothing but a cable or a road. So the device controller is a hardware unit attached to the input output bus of the computer and works like an interface. What is interface? Interface is something which allows two people to communicate. It's an interface between a device and a device driver. To even to install the device driver, I need a permission, and my device controller will become that interface which will allows my system to install the device driver, and so my pen drive can communicate with the operating system. Got it? Okay. Now the second point we have, device driver can be broadly categorized as a kernel device driver and a user device driver. What is this? See, category. Device drivers have two categories. One is a kernel device and the second is a user device. Some drivers comes along with the operating system, and so the kernel word has been used over here, and some peripheral devices have their own drivers, so that we call the user device drivers. Okay, next point is device controller can be simple like a serial port controller for a serial port, or a complex like a SCSI controller. This we are not going in that detail, but just a simple idea. The device controller can be simple like a serial port controller. Simple, just like you have a different types of ports, right, in your system. So this is device controller is nothing but simple serial port controller, we can say. Sometimes it's a complex because in a single port you can attach multiple devices, so it can be a complex. Next point says it allows the kernel of a computer to communicate with different hardware devices. We have already discussed this point, right? That kernel means your operating system. So my device driver will allow my pen drive to communicate with the operating system. Device controller says it makes sense of the incoming and outgoing signals of the CPU. Of course, as we know that it's an input-output device. It is attached with the input-output bus. So my bus is nothing but the something which enables or which allows the data to be passed, to be traveled from one location to the another. So of course, it will keep track, or it will have a control. It will keep the control on the input and output signals. Why the term signal is here? Because ultimately your data will travel in the form of signals when you are when you are inputting any data. So it is not going like in a text format or an image format. First it gets converted into the signals. Next point, we have a device driver is a software program with which the device controller interacts with the operating system. Fine, simple. A device driver is a software that we know with which the device controller interacts. So very first, when you insert any peripheral device, very first my device controller will interact with the device driver, and then it will communicate with the operating system. Then it will allow to install that driver, and then it will talk to the operating system. Device driver. It acts as a bridge between the device and the operating system, which receives commands from the operating system. Of course, when we say that driver installed successfully or driver installed unsuccessfully, whatever the notification it is, but how I know that it is a successful or unsuccessful? There is some bridge, there is something which is passing the information to the my operating system, and that process or that is done by my device controller. So we can say that it acts as a bridge between these two parts. Fine. Okay, so this is all about the device driver and device controller. Now we will see device driver in detail. So now we will see device controller in detail. Okay, so after seeing the difference between the device driver and device controller, now I'll see about the device controller in little detail. So you can see on the screen that there is one image, and in that image we have a CPU, disk controller, then we have a USB controller, and then we have a graphics adapter controller or a graphic controller, we can say. All are connected with the memory. Of course, I don't have different storage for a CPU. I don't have a different storage for my USB. There is a common memories there, right? Now what happens, if I have a USB port in my system, I can attach any device, any peripheral device with it, right? So in the diagram you can see that for a mouse, for a keyboard and a printer, I have a USB controller. So can I say that it's a common device controller for multiple devices? Yeah, we can say. So there are controllers, there are some common controllers are there through which you can attach the peripheral devices. Like if you have a single socket, single port in USB port in your laptop or in a computer, in which you can add you can attach your printer, you can attach your pen drive, you can attach your keyboard as well, right? So this we call the common device controller. And what is multiple device controller? If I have different types of devices, in that case I need multiple device controller. Simple. For a speaker, I have a different controller. For a mic, I have a different controller. For a pen drive, I have a different controller. So like that. For a monitor, I have a different controller. So if multiple types of devices are there, then you need a multiple device controller. But if you have a same types of devices, then you can go with the common device controller. Easy? Yes. So I hope it is clear, and before we end up this slide, here I would like to tell you something about the peripheral devices. What is peripheral devices? We know any device which is not a core part of the system or a core system, part of the core system, then we can say it's a peripheral device. Anything which you can attach externally, that we call the peripheral devices, right? One more thing here I would like to add, that let's say that you have got a new laptop, right? Why we need a device controller, that I'm telling you. That suppose you have got a new laptop, and of course that laptop has an operating system. It's your laptop. Now you are inserting your pen drive, but your operating system does not know that what is this new pen drive, because my operating system will know only about the devices which is already there, which is already inbuilt with my system. But this pen drive is something which is new for operating system. So what will I do, or what it has to do? And for that it has to install a device driver, and that device driver will allow my pen drive to talk with the my operating system. So then my operating system will come to know that okay, if some messages are coming or are going, like in or out signals we can call it, input output signals are there, then my operating system will allow that thing, and all these things will be controlled by my device controller. Fine. So this is about the common device controller and a multiple device controller. So let's now sum up all the points of a device controller which we have already discussed. So what is device controller? It's a program that determines how a computer will communicate with a peripheral device, right? Then a peripheral device is linked to the system nucleus. System nucleus is nothing but the CPU plus memory. We call it a system nucleus by the device controller. We have already discussed this point. It also known as a input output control, because ultimately whatever the device or whatever the peripheral device I am attaching, it has to communicate with the operating system and the memory. Ultimately what I am doing, either I am inputting something or I am taking the output from the system. When you are copying the data, when you are transferring the data, suppose you are copying the data from your pen drive to the storage device, to your hard disk. In that case, that process we can see on my screen, right? So somewhere I am inputting something, and of course I am able to see that output as well. And suppose I am transferring the data from my hard disk to the pen drive, again the same thing, right? So also it known as an input output controller. Then the main function of a device controller is to transfer information between the system nucleus and the device. System nucleus means CPU and memory, and the device means which device? Any peripheral device. Yes. Then device driver need to be installed to use additional device. Of course, we know that when you attach any external device, you need to install the device driver. Normally, there are three forms of it. One is a separate unit, one is integrated with the device, and the third is integrated with the CPU. It might be possible that your device controller or device driver, we are talking about both the things, in three forms you can find it. One is a separate unit. Okay, so some exceptional or one exclusive device, for the exclusive device, we have exclusive device controller. We know, right? Different types of device, different different controllers we need. Then one can be integrated with the device. It might be possible that when you attach the pen drive, so your pen drive has its own driver. It might be possible, right? And integrated with the CPU means It might be possible that some drivers, because I know that in a future this device will definitely get connected with so and so mouse or a so and so keyboard, so some drivers are already there on the with the CPU. So this is about the device controller. Okay, now let's talk about the IO drivers. What is IO drivers? Input output drivers. So what happens when you attach any peripheral device? As we know that it has to communicate with the operating system, and it requires different access like storage device access, input output device access. So how all this thing happens? So we need a IO drivers. So it consists routines for performing various operations. Now we need to understand this statement very carefully. Routines, the new term you have, routine. Remember in a C program, you used to write the function, right? So that function, what happens with that function? Whenever you call that function, it executes, right? So you get the output. So every time you don't need to call that function, whenever it is required, you call it. So the function is similar to the routine. We can say routine, we can say that routine is a piece of a software piece of a code inside the software. We can say routine is a function, so it's a piece or it's a part of your software. So whenever you require it, you just go and call it. So that's why it is written that consists routines for performing various operations. Suppose I have a copy function and I have a paste function, so and I have a delete function and I have a rename function, right? I can do all the operations with my pen drive. When I attach the pen drive, I can perform all these things, right? So for a copy, if I'm copying something, so it will go to the software and it will go jump to that routine, jump to that function to copy that thing. Likewise for all the different operation, all the various operation, whatever the operation I am performing, so for all the different operations I have a different functions, I have a different routines, and whenever it is required, it calls it. Simple. So basically there are only two types of operations. Anything you are doing with the system, there are only two types of operations you are doing. We can say that a read operation and a write operation. So when you suppose, let's take an example here. Suppose you open some existing file. So that where is that file? That file is there inside the memory in your permanent storage on your hard disk. So when you call it, when you open it, when you click or when you double click on it, or when you give the command to the system to open that file, what happens? Your processor has to read the data from the storage device. So it is reading that data from the storage device, right? So it becomes your read operation. But suppose you are saving your data. When you write something on a Word or a PowerPoint, anything, and when you click on a save button, when you save your data, so system has to write that data on a storage device permanently. So there are two operations, reading and writing. When you are fetching the data from the storage, it is your reading operation. When you are storing your data, it becomes your writing operation, right? Okay, so routine means a function. Each routine gives appropriate commands to the IO controller and the device controller. Of course, based on the routine or based on the function or based on the command, system has to decide, right? The system has to give the proper command to my input output devices, the input device my mouse, my keyboard, and output my monitor. So it has to give the command that some copying function is there, some paste operation is there. So based on that, it gives the commands to my input output controller and to the device controller that what operation I'm going to perform. Then what is the other job of IO driver is to issue necessary control signals. Why control signals? Uh, Suppose you are trying to copy the data from your storage, from your hard disk to the pen drive. Suppose this is an example, right? Suppose you are trying to copy the data from your hard disk to your pen drive, but your pen drive is full. So in that case, it has to generate the control signal. This is we call the control signal. Some error, some interruption, if whatever the operation you want to perform, but because of any reason, if system is not able to perform that operation, it has to generate some signal, and so it has to take care about the all the things, and that's why we call that a control signals generated or issued by the IO drivers. Also it has to control that that the data I am copying, it has to go to the right destination. It has to get copied correctly, properly. So all this, to control all these things, it issues the control signals. Then three things are required to support the device. What? Suppose you are attaching any peripheral device, then three things we need. First, an IO driver. Of course, your device controller is there, your device driver is there, so of course it is required. So first, driver is required. Then a device controller which logically interfaces the device to the system. Now we know the job of the device controller is, right, it allows the device driver and your pen drive or your peripheral device to communicate with the operating system. So of course, when you attach the peripheral device, first you need IO driver, second you need a device controller, and the next is a device interface cable which physically connects the device to the device controller. See, the cable, the bus, we can say cable or a bus, because when you are attaching something, of course I need a cable, I need a bus. You are attaching, let's take an example, like you are attaching the pen drive from your right side port. Do you know that where is your operating system, where is your storage device? No, there must be some distance between these devices, right? There is a distance between all these devices. So to communicate with each and every devices internally, they need some path, they need some road, and that road, that path is nothing but the cable or a bus, we can say. So always they require a bus or a path to communicate, to transfer, to travel the data. Clear? So this is all about the IO drivers. Okay, so now we have a topic, device interface signals. What is this? So device means any device. Interface means something which allows two different components to talk, to communicate. And signal, of course, whatever the information, whatever the data you are passing, or whatever the data is traveling from one location to the another location, it is into the signal form, because when you enter the text or a image, so in that case it does not travel in that form only. So first your data will be converted into signal, and then it will travel to the destination, towards the destination. So there are basically three types of signals between a device and a controller. So what these three types of signals? First is a data signal, then we have a control signal, and then we have a status signal. Before we understand the signal concept, let's take one example. What happens when you copy? Suppose you are copying the data from your from your hard disk to the pen drive, or a vice versa, whatever. So in that case, I have to check. Very first, I have to check that do I have a sufficient space to transfer the data, to copy the data. So first is my data, then something I need to control that operation, right? I need something to control that operation. And next is the status. What is the status of my operation? Is there any error? Is it successful? Is it pending? Is it in a queue? What is the status? So when you perform any operation, three things are there. One, your actual data on which you are going to perform an operation. Next, the control. We need a control. Of course, you have to take care that whatever the data you are sending, it should be reached in a perfect manner, in a perfect fashion, and the correct data should be reached to the destination. So we need some control. And next we have a status. Of course, we need to check that is it reached or not, is it delivered or not, is it copied or not, is there any error, is it in a pending mode or what. So all these things are in a signal form. So we have three types of signals. Between a device and a device controller: data control signals and status signals. These two. Then the control signals are issued by the device controller actually. So here you have to keep in mind that signals between a device and a device controller, that is data control signals and the status signals, and in that the control signals are issued by the device controller only, because the device controller demanding certain actions by the device, and so it is generated or issued by the device controller only. For example, we can take an example like reset signal, right? When you reset something, you are performing some operation, but because of some reason it is not going to execute perfectly. In that case, what you do, you just give the reset signal. So reset signal asks the device to get reset, that is the clear the internal condition inside the device. So ultimately what I am doing, I am controlling my data, I'm controlling my operation, right? So this is one thing. Then we will say about the status signal. So the status signals are sent by the input output device. By whom? The status signals are sent by the input output device, and they're reporting certain internal conditions. Of course, they have to report what is the actual condition inside the system. So like internal condition, then that we call the status, and that status, that conditions to be needs to be informed to the device controller. Here also we can take an example, like suppose there is one error. That error can be anything: insufficient storage or connection lost, any error can be there. So in that case, the error signal reports that there is an error in the device, right? Because we don't know what is the actual device, but it has to inform to the system that there is some error. Got it? And the last we'll see about the data signals. So this data signals may be sent either like serially or on we can say serially, like on one wire only, because you can consider it as a one-way road, right? So data can travel in only one direction. And if we talk about the parallel, so we require multiple wires or a multiple cables for that. This serial processing and parallel processing we will learn in detail, but right now just get familiar with the terms. Like I know that all the terms are new for you, right? Like a data signal, control signal, status signal, device controller, device driver, but don't worry, it's very easy. Gradually we will go in the detail, and it will be very clear that what is the meaning of the data signal. After 2 or 3 lectures, you will be able to explain this term, like data signal, okay, serial processing, then one wire only, and if a parallel processing, I need a 8 wires. Why 8 wires? That we will learn. Clear everyone? In the image you can see the serial interface, controller and device, only one data at a time. But if parallel processing or a parallel interface means I can send 8 different beats at the same time. That we call the parallel processing. That we will see in the next topics. Fine? Okay. Okay guys, now for you people, here I have one exercise. So you have to do these things. You just need to Google this thing. Like first, various functions of ALU and CU. We have already discussed all these points, but just go and Google. Just explore your knowledge to understand the things nicely. Then go for the difference between the device driver and device controller in detail. We have already explained, I have already explained, we have already discussed all the points, but just go through the just go and Google all these points, and read some more points, some more detail about the common device controller, then multiple device controller for the multiple devices, and for the different types of device controller. Just go and read and watch other videos, other reference videos. Fine. Okay guys, so that's it for this lecture. Happy learning. Thank you.